She is a particularly old scion of the Falkenrath vampire family from Innistrad. She is relentless, ruthless, and cruel even by her family's standards. She gathered a hunting pack of her kin after they were corrupted by Emrakul. She had one goal beyond feeding: she wanted to reclaim Castle Falkenrath from the monks who had founded the Heron's Grace Monastery on its ruins. Now, she is invited to the most prestigious vampire wedding on the Innistrad. Welcome. MTG Commander Spotlight, Anje, Maid of Dishonor. Anje is a 4-to-cast legendary creature vampire. She has the ability of whenever Anje, Maid of Dishonor and or one or more other vampires enter the battlefield under your control, create a blood token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Her second ability is, pay 2 colorless mana, sacrifice another creature or blood token, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. A blood token is an artifact token with an ability of pay 1, tap, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. She is a blood token generator and a sacrificing outlet for these artifacts tokens, and with these, she can drain our opponents effortlessly. What is our strategy? Our strategy for Anje is to create more blood tokens, sacrifice them, and drain our opponents. We must have tons of vampires that could enter the battlefield on each turn, and some of these vampires are also blood token generators. With these vampires, we can overwhelm our opponents to victory. Decklist composition. Here we organize our deck into composition that compels us the right cards to our deck. Okay, let's walk through to the decklist. Mana ramps. First off, we have Sol Ring that can generate 2 colorless mana, Mind Stone, and Fractured Power Stone that taps for 1 colorless mana. With these cards, we can activate the Aristocrat ability of Anje multiple times. Fire Diamond taps for red mana, while Charcoal Diamond taps for black mana. Rakdos Signet can give you black and red mana, while Rakdos Cluestone and Rakdos Locket can give you black or red mana, and when sacrificed, you draw a card. Firemind Vessel taps for 2 any colored mana, while Hedron Archive gives you 2 colorless mana, and when sacrificed, you draw a card. Having these cards, we can activate Anje's second ability with ease. Let's proceed to draw engines. Morbid Opportunist is not a vampire creature, but she can help us to draw cards each turn if there is a creature that died each turn. Same as Grim Haruspex, he is not a vampire either, but he can also draw us cards with the Aristocrat strategy. Pointed Discussion is a new card from Crimson Vow. Its ability is you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, then create a blood token. Costly Plunder is a 2 cast instant, that has an additional cost of sacrifice a creature and you draw 2 cards. While Signing Blood, has the ability of target player, draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Faithless Looting and Cathartic Reunion have the same way of abilities, and this is we discard a card and draw cards. Deadly Dispute, Seize the Spoils, and Unexpected Windfall can draw us cards and create treasure tokens. Next we have single target removals. Vampire's Vengeance can deal 2 damage to each non-vampire creature and you create a blood token. While Bloodtithe Harvester is a creature card, that it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. It has a second ability, and that is tap, sacrifice Bloodtithe Harvester, target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is twice the number of blood tokens you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Grisly Ritual has the ability of destroy target creature or planeswalker. Create 2 blood tokens. Lacerate Flash has the ability of deals 4 damage to target creature. Create a number of blood tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. Next, Stencher Banquet has the ability of it deals damage to target opponent or planeswalker equal to the number of vampires you control, and you draw a card. The next cards has an alternate cost, and this is through Madness cost. First, we have Fiery Temper has the ability of it deals 3 damage to any target. Next, Murderous Compulsion has the ability of destroy target tapped creature. And Terminal Agony, destroy target creature. Bedevil can destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. While Terminate, destroy target creature and it can't be regenerated. Let's proceed to board wipes. First, we have Butcher of Malakir. She is a vampire creature that has flying, and whenever Butcher of Malakir or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. She will be a semi-board wipe and constantly triggered due to the Anje's second ability, if we sacrificed a vampire. Next, we have Crippling Fear. Choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3 until end of turn. While Biting Rain has the ability of all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn and has madness cost of 3. Having these cards we can board wipe and also removing those who are indestructible creatures. Next we have the Standalones. Anje Falkenrath is a legendary card that has the ability of haste, tap, discard a card and draw a card, and if the discarded card has madness on it, untap Anje Falkenrath. Wedding Security has the ability of whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Wedding Security and draw a card. It pumps itself and draws as a card. Voldoran Pariah has the ability of flying and sacrifice 3 creatures, transform Voldoran Pariah. Voldoran Pariah has an alternate cost and it is through madness cost. When Voldoran Pariah transform into Abolisher of Bloodlines, it has flying, and when this creature transforms into Abolisher of Bloodlines, target opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. Bloodmad Vampire has the ability of whenever Bloodmad Vampire deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Bloodmad Vampire have also a madness cost. While Falkenrath Marauders has flying, haste and whenever Falkenrath Marauders deals combat damage to a player, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And lastly Stromkirk Noble has the ability of Stromkirk Noble can't be blocked by humans, and whenever Stromkirk Noble deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Having these vampire creatures on the board, they can pump themselves when they deal damage to one of our opponents, becomes big in no time, and winning the game with these bloodthirsty vampires. Incorrigible Youths have the ability of haste and have an alternate cost of madness. While Stromkirk Occultist has the ability of trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. And also it has a madness cost of 2. Let's proceed to enhancers. Rakish Heir is a vampire card that has whenever a vampire you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. While Necropolis Regent is also a vampire card that has flying, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, then put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Having these vampires, we are pumping our vampire creatures through damage and making them the most elite vampires on the board. Stencher Masquerade is an enchantment card that has the ability of attacking creatures you control have first strike. And if that creature is a vampire you control, when it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. While Stromkirk Captain has the ability of first strike, and other vampire creatures you control gets +1/+1 counter and have first strike. With these, they give first strike and also pumps our vampires creatures. Vampire Socialite is a vampire creature card from Midnight Hunt that pumps our vampire creatures with her ability. Her ability is Menace, and when Vampire Socialite enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each other vampire you control, and as long as an opponent lost life this turn, each other vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Lastly, we have Ceremonial Knife, which has the ability of equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has whenever this creature deals combat damage, create a blood token. Its equipped cost is 2. A little pump for our equipped creature, and they can provide us blood tokens. Proceeding to our enablers. Vindictive Vampire has the ability of whenever another creature you control dies, Vindictive Vampire deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. While Falkenrath Noble has flying, and whenever Falkenrath Noble or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. With these, we can speed up the draining of life of our opponents. The next cards are blood token generators, and these are Voldoran Bloodcaster. She has the ability of flying, and whenever Voldoran Bloodcaster or another non-token creature you control dies, create a blood token. And whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, transform Voldoran Bloodcaster into Bloodbat Summoner. Bloodbat Summoner has the ability of flying, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types. Next blood token generator is Restless Bloodseeker. He has the ability of at the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a blood token. Then, there is another ability, sacrifice 2 blood token, transform Restless Bloodseeker into Bloodsoaked Reveler. Bloodsoaked Reveler has the ability of at the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a blood token. Its second ability is pay 5, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Falconrat Forebear is also a blood token generator. It has the ability of flying. Falconrat Forebear can't block. Whenever Falconrat Forebear deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token, and its last ability, pay 1 black mana, sacrifice 2 blood tokens, return Falconrat Forebear from your graveyard to the battlefield. While Belligerent Guest has the ability of trample, and whenever Belligerent Guest deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token. Lastly, for the blood token generator, Gluttonous Guest has the ability of. When Gluttonous Guest enters the battlefield, create a blood token. And whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you gain 1 life. Veilwitch Coven has the ability of menace, and whenever you gain life, you may pay 1 black mana. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This can help us retrieve our key vampires, casting them into the battlefield to produce more blood tokens, sacrifice them to Anje so that we can drain our opponent's life. Next, we have Falconrat Gorger. This vampire will enable our vampires to have madness cost depending on its casting cost. Diabolic Tutor and Razekith's Right can search our library for a specific card that can help our board state, or get a specific card that can benefit our aristocrat theme. Call the Bloodline is an enchantment card that when we pay 1 colorless mana, discard a card, create a 1/1 black vampire knight creature token with lifelink. Activate only once each turn. This can generate more vampires and also can gain us more life. Hungry for More has the ability of create a 3/1 black and red vampire creature token with trample, lifelink, and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. And this spell has flashback. Silversmote Ghoul has the ability of at the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, return Silversmote Ghoul from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and pay 2, sacrifice Silversmote Ghoul, draw a card. Squee, Goblin Nabob is not a vampire creature. Squee can be our free discard card option, when we discard a card from our hand. When we discard Squee, he will eventually comes back to our hand at the beginning of our upkeep. We are almost done, but first, what is our land composition? Let's proceed. Our land composes of 16 swamps, 15 mountains, a Coombe Refuge, a Bloodfell Caves, Evolving Wilds, Foreboding Ruins, Temple of the False God, and a Terramorphic Expanse. The total cost is summed up through TCG Player, and the total cost is $38.74. For the full description of the card prices, please visit the link below and change it to TCG price. Prices will change eventually. I would like to thank you all for watching. Please give a like. Press the subscribe button for more updates and share this video to your friends who loves MTG. Once again, thank you.